guys, and welcome back to Sugar and Spice.
This week we're talking about something super interesting, which is why do men love beaches?
Why do they like beaches? Why do they marry beaches? I don't think I think the author was talking about how it's not actually this pejorative, defamatory kind of female dog. It's this encapsulation of like a woman who has standards, who's very sure of herself, who will pull back if things don't serve her, who has her own life, her own values, her own goals, and isn't going to stick around for shitty behaviour.
Which I think is so common these days. And obviously we know men are shit, like that's why it's so common. But I feel like on the other side, we see so many beautiful women around us who just like let guys.
No, I'm done. I'm actually done with the sob story of like men are shit.
Ooh.
You let people treat you how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It's like a sense of, I'm sorry, this is going to sound really bad, but if you are the type of person who's going to stick around for a guy treating you badly, people would treat you the way you allow them to treat you. I'm sorry, like that's and I don't mean about abuse victims because that happens over time, right?
Yeah,
but some people will literally accept the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then cry about it, how life is unfair. Babes, like, why did you accept that?
Yeah.
There's no, like, you're not being forced into that situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just like, I think one guy can treat a girl a certain way and treat another woman completely differently.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy. Like breaks up with his ex of like 6 years and all of a sudden the new girl is like getting absolutely everything that the
and
previous
married
wanted, and married and kids and all the things. But yeah, I think
it's very easy to be a victim of your situation and be like, oh my God, men treat me badly and life is unfair and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's really important to think about how do you add to that scenario? What are you accepting from people? How are people viewing you because of the way that you were portraying yourself?
Totally.
What standard are you projecting onto the world?
Yeah.
Because I don't buy it that it's just this like, I think men have over time worked less hard because women have allowed them to work less hard.
Totally.
So if you're accepting certain behaviors, babes, when you cry about it, like, take some responsibility.
In that same facet though, we were talking about this the other day, like Australia is a traumatic place to date. And it's kind of like we have to sometimes accept the bare minimum because the men aren't really providing anything other than the bare minimum.
But then it's like collectively, like why are people accepting that?
I know.
Like that goes into why men marry beaches, because the beach, the girl who has the standards isn't going to stick around for that. The guy who's giving the bare minimum is not going to get that girl. He knows he has to work harder.
Yeah, in other places, yeah. Whereas like I feel like in Australia, because like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Are the men just shit and providing the bare minimum, and women have therefore learned to kind of put up with it because that's literally 97% of men? Or is it the other way around where it's like we've put up with these shitty standards and our men just think they can act any which way?
I think this is such a deep question, but I think with the rise of hookup culture, and the birth of the contraception pill, everything changed.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, especially in the West.
Yeah, true. Because like you look at the Middle East,
there's not as many, like it's not as risky. Before it's like if you were sleeping with someone, you could potentially, she could be the mother of your child. This was risky behavior.
Okay, yeah, true.
And so, you weren't so, and girls weren't, giving it up in that way. And not to shame anyone who is, guys. Yeah. I'm a very liberal-minded person. Everyone enjoy their things. Like, if you want to just sleep with a guy, sleep with a guy. If you want to have fun, you want to have fun. But if you want a man to fully commit to you and you want to get married and you want to whatever, maybe it's not the wisest option to do that with someone you barely know.
Yeah.
If that's what you want from him.
I get that.
Because you don't know him. You don't know this person. You don't know. And I want to go into this in a little bit. I think that you can set the standard with anyone, even these low effort Aussie guys, and 100%. You can get them to turn around. So it is quite doom and gloom in Australia because you have to raise these men because they haven't been taught these certain things. My issue isn't with, I think that Australian men can treat women very, very well. True. I just don't think they're romantic.
Yeah.
And I don't think that can be taught. And that's the element I don't like about Australian guys. I think that they can treat women. I've dated an Aussie guy. He treated me amazingly. I don't think that that's Like,
Do you think that's because you put your standards like
100, he
really
would even
high?
tell me, I've never treated a woman like this. And he did with pleasure, with absolute pleasure.
Can you get into that? Can you tell that story?
Yeah, I can tell that story.
Because I feel like this has happened to you
Yeah.
maybe once or twice.
Guys, I was given a cheat sheet in my life. I'm a very, very lucky woman that I was given a father who really raised me to have high standards. And I know that's not the same for everyone. I had a father, and not my dad, it was my brother. So both of them really showed me how a man treats a woman.
Yeah, wow.
So I knew that I already had that example. I'm my father's princess. I already know what gentleman-like behavior is. So I just get puzzled if I'm not treated in that kind of way. This is the thing with standards, right? You see all these women who have amazing guys, right? And you're like, wow, she's so lucky, whatever. And you think, oh, maybe like that woman has the highest standards. That's how she got the amazing guys.
Yeah.
You need to have high standards, but you need to know how to communicate those standards in a non-annoying way, in a non-naggy way, in a way that's like cheeky, playful, and desirable. Having standards is confidence.
Yeah.
How you execute the standards is
you've told me
competence.
this, yeah.
It's that's really important. You have to know how to execute your standards in a cheeky, playful way that isn't like grabbing someone by the neck, because then it's just you sound like a headache. So I was seeing an Australian guy, and we've known each other for ages, whatever. And such a gentleman. You know, okay, I will say this also. This is a very important thing to note. I am naturally not a needy person in terms of I don't need to see someone all the time. So I have my own life, my friends, my family. There's so many things that come before a man. I'm not going to, this is the thing about men marrying beaches.
Yeah.
It's the woman who's not going to cancel her plans to see the guy.
Yeah,
This woman who's like, I've got Pilates in the morning. I've got this tomorrow. I've got this.
Yeah.
She's not always available to you.
Totally.
Being always available to someone at their beck and call, you could illustrate that picture with anyone. You're not going to value something that's always there. It's always what's the value in something? If everyone could buy a pink diamond and it was around everywhere, the value of it decreases. You know. So I think the whole thing is I'm naturally like that. So it wasn't like a manipulative game, but I've realized that that's what really gets guys hooked is because I've got my own life, my own things going on. And they kind of have to compete with that. So they really value the time that you get to spend. They want to wow you. They want to, whatever it is. So yeah, I think that, and he treated me amazing. He always picked me up, never drove to his house. He was such a gentleman, always to me. We don't talk now, but I have all the time in the world for him. He's a great person.
But didn't he say to you, like, I've like never done this before?
Yeah, I've never treated a woman like this.
Yeah.
And I do it with the utmost pride.
Yeah.
I don't want you to lift a finger.
Yeah.
I don't want you. He's just seen the girls he was dating before.
Yeah.
They'd drive to his house, sleep with him in his bed, do whatever he wanted, bring him stuff. Like, I literally never lifted a finger with this man, and he was such. Yeah, he even moved suburbs. Because the area was a little bit, whatever, and a bit dangerous, and he was just, he's a great guy. But I just think that it's the Australian guys, the guys that we always talk about that are low effort, you can make them put more effort into the situation as long as you have your standards, you're high value, and you know how to communicate those standards.
And stop rewarding bad behavior.
100%.
We see so many women around us, so many beautiful, intelligent, smart, sexy, like literally have it all. And we're giving the rats on the street all the excuses in the world for their bad behavior. It's like at some point we need to actually be like, these men are low effort, these men are shit, these men are unromantic, they don't plan anything.
But like let me give you an example.
Yeah.
If a guy, like I go on a date with a guy and he wants to take me home, right? And I'm obviously not going to do that because I don't know you and whatever. If you're like, oh no, that's so disrespectful, whatever. The example of this is that someone can do something that is not of your standard, and if you communicate that in a cheeky, light way, you've communicated your standard, it gets him guessing, but it's also not so much of a headache. Yeah. I don't think people know how to do that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think it's either you betray yourself and you accept the low effort, or you go the other way where you are a bit too extreme in your doctrine, in what you're,
like staunch, like
and it's like no one wants to treat you well
energy.
after that. Yeah, it becomes like gun to head type of vibe. Like that sounds like a headache. I'm already,
In terms of like flipping that and like rather than not asserting standards, we give them excuses.
100%.
Like we're
100%.
like, oh, but like he's like not said this to me, but he said this to me, and I think this means this, and it's like if the behavior is not direct,
It gives the same energy.
So
Bored, desperate, low value. You don't like value your own time, babe. When you're busy and you're naturally just like, I'm getting my hair done, getting my nails done, I'm going to work, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing pottery, I'm doing yoga, I'm going to church, I'm spending time with my family. Why do you have so much time to obsess about a man?
Yeah,
like this is the whole thing. It's that someone earns your thoughts, your
time,
exactly,
your energy, 100%.
But it's like girls are like, he took a breath next to me. Let me change my whole identity for him. Like, I think you need to do the inner work before you even think about a guy.
What it is, babe?
Yeah.
It's you just spoke about like having like a really strong male figure. Like on the opposite side of the coin, that spice, sugar, I didn't. And I know, but like this ties into doing the inner work. I feel like my previous relationship was so defined by this absence and this abandonment that you become like the doormat because you're like, they're going to leave me. This is me and my ex. So we're doing like flip the switch now. I was that girl. I wasn't a beach. I was a doormat. And because this guy like fully love bombed me, I was like fully wowed by it. And it wasn't even that amazing now that I look back on it because that's how low my standards were. How did it happen? He was, mind you, he was abusive. So I feel like the mental abuse made me a doormat. But he would do shit to me. I wouldn't tell anyone because I was embarrassed. And I knew if I told Raquel, she would call me out and be like, why are you accepting that behavior? But I made my standards like literally on the floor. Like I didn't have any. And he treated me like shit, broke up with me. And it's that typical trope of like the really hot, successful, smart woman starts dating a rat of a man and he fucks her over.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, how does this happen? It happens through having literally no standards. And I know he didn't respect me towards the end because I had none. But at the same time, he was an abusive piece of shit. So
that's the thing. Someone so beautiful and amazing like Lexi, like the only way a man like your ex could have access to you is if honestly that there were self-esteem issues with you. You know what I mean? Like a guy like that would never have a chance to get with you. And then on top of that,
and it was all like,
and on top of that, not only did he have a chance with Lexi, he had the leg up on Lexi. No, they just stuffed it up. He had the leg up. He had Lexi chasing him. And this is the thing, like, in only some weird alternative reality could that ever happen. But this comes down to, I think that him or just anyone, even like a good person or like not someone like that, I think that when you let a man know that you will always be there through his, and I'm not talking about you're married because can everyone relax, like for better and for worse. I'm just saying like someone you're dating, he's doing horrible things. He's not a man of his word. He's changing plans. He's messaging you late at night instead of like making proper plans with you. He's making you feel bad about yourself or whatever it is. And you're still accepting it. You're still chasing him. You're still like wanting to catch up with him. You're always available to him. Like, of course he's going to be like treating you badly, you know?
I feel gross when you say that because that was literally me.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend was a rat. Like when you look at him, you're like, ugh, like just physically disgusting. But like what makes it worse is his soul was disgusting, which made him even uglier. And when if you put us side by side, you would literally be like, how? And it was because I had probably a lot of self-esteem issues at that point. Don't really know why. I think he created them in me. Here's the thing about abusive men though. They'll make you self-conscious and then they'll make you like, they'll whittle you down to where you have no standards. And then it's like, they end up doing something horrific. I mean, I left in the end because he did something horrific and it was like, okay, I need to bounce because this is becoming unsafe. But yeah, the fact that he had the power over me is because of my inner self. And doing the work since then, that was nearly 4 years ago. Jesus. So much inner work. Still grapple with things, obviously, but so much inner work. I've got an amazing new boyfriend. We've been together nearly 3 years and he treats me amazingly. Like standards, whoop, from that. Maybe that was my lesson to learn, like how to really enforce my standards.
100%.
Yeah.
You learn from every relationship. Yeah. And like, you know, you learned a lot from that.
I know, but I could have said like, did I need all of that? Did I need all of that? Like, ew.
I just think that like, yeah, in a relationship dynamic between a man and a woman should always be chased, like forever till the end. Like the man should never feel so comfortable as that the woman has absolute, and that goes to the same thing with like even women who choose to be stay-at-home mothers, I think always need to have money behind them, whether it's passive income, whether it's something like not to be fully reliant on a man, fully devoted to a man. I don't know. That could never be me. Like giving him absolute power in that kind of way, no, I wouldn't do it. He'd always have to feel that if he left me, I would be totally fine. Being completely passive and too polite will always kind of leave you in the dirt.
But here's where I struggle, right? Because I'm naturally, I'm not saying you're not, but I'm naturally like a very warm, nice, like human. Like I feel like my energy is like light pink. Like I'm very like warm and fuzzy and loving and like very cutesy. Like I don't really have that like...
Babe, but that doesn't mean that you're not loving, cutesy, babe.
No,
every guy I've been with, and I quote, will say they've never been loved by. I will do.
But how do you still be not?
You can still be nice and loving and have standards.
True.
And you're the greater a man is, the nicer, loving I become, right?
Yeah, true.
And then when he disappoints me in any kind of way, I naturally subtract.
Yeah, it's the masculine.
I've just always naturally been like that. I'm only impressed by things that are impressive.
True.
And things, I'm not like, you give me a little crumb and I'm like, oh my God, he sent me a good morning text. Like minimum, babe. Like it's actually the minimum.
I know, isn't it sad though?
Like
it's a shit manner.
Yeah, but you can get him to send you the good morning text in a playful way by setting that standard that you like, whatever, without being like, why aren't you sending me a text message? For example, if you message that late afternoon, I would just say like, oh my God, I was so worried. I thought something happened to you. You didn't send me a good morning message.
Nice.
It's playful. It's cute. It's cheeky. It's not, why didn't you send me a message?
Yeah.
I feel like there's just a natural way of being like playful and loving and making someone want to do those things for you without, pressing them up against the wall, because no one wants to do that.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agreed.
Like I was going to set the SWAT team out for you. Like I was so worried, like it's just cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
Really cute.
Yeah. I think it's all a balance. Life is all about balance. And I think that you have to, we're going to do an episode on confidence because I think that it needs a whole episode by itself.
Yeah.
But you need to deepen the connection with yourself. That's the most important thing you will ever have. And you need to have your own life. Like you need to have your own passions, your own dreams, your own things. I think that when you give that all up too soon and you're willing to just like forfeit everything for a guy, like he messages you, you're meant to have dinner plans. And he doesn't message you all throughout the day.
No.
And then he messages you at like 4:00. And then he's like, okay, we'll do it. We'll go to this place. Babe, if you're going to go to that dinner, like, sorry to be mean, are you such a loser that you had no other option of doing something else? Instead, I would be like, oh my God, sorry, babe, I didn't hear from you all day. I actually made some plans because I didn't know if you wanted to see me.
Yeah.
So it's like letting him know, babes, you can't message me an hour or two before whatever, not giving me direction of what we're doing, telling me what time anything is. And I'm just going to be like, yep, got nothing better to do.
Yeah,
You're the first thing on my priority. And it lets him know like, okay, wow, I've got to like work to be this, someone valuable to her. I've got to work to like, to take some of her time. My time's not 100% available to you. I've got other things in my life, So if you don't have that, make that. Like
100% just lie.
Oh yeah, you could also lie. You can create the illusion. Like,
but isn't like if you haven't made other plans, you can still bail on it. Without being like, I actually still have nothing to do. Like, just set the standard 100%. Also, like, does it play into that concept of allowing men to be hunters and allowing like
them to
like what's it called? Traditional concepts of masculine and feminine.
Totally. I think that you can't be too passive in that. Like you still got to be cheeky. You still got to let them know that like you are so appreciative of the things that you do, that they do for you. Maybe even make a suggestion of something potentially that you like. Maybe remember something that happened or like compliment him. It's a given pool, I think some people just like, on the other end want to be wowed a bit too much. And I think there is like, because then, no man wants to feel fully used and fully 100%. Like taken advantage of, because that's what some of them will feel if it's just, especially in Australia, because there's no culture for that. Like in other parts of the world, if I put out my wallet to pay for something with a Lebanese man, I think he'd be so offended he'd probably never speak to me again. Like it's offensive. It's a deep culturally embedded thing that a man takes a woman out, he looks at, it's offensive to a man to pull out your wallet, rather than in Australia, I think if you're going out for dinner, a woman should offer, but the man should pay.
Do you remember, like, we went out once with a friend of ours, talking about like the demanding side of things. Do you remember we went out and we were like talking, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, and we were talking to a group of boys next to us, and because we were talking to them for an hour or two, she was like, "You've got to pay our bill." Do you remember that?
No.
Don't you remember that? This is on the other side of the spectrum.
So this is what happened. We were at a restaurant bar, and I was sitting down with the girls, with Lexi and a bunch of other girls, and this guy was trying to speak to me. And I was like, old man, like, no, not the vibe. And then he kept trying to come over and talk to us. Well, talk to me. And then one of my friends was like, if you want her attention, you've got to pay for our bill. And I was like, babe, don't ever speak on behalf of me and make me so cheap to a man to make him think that he can buy me. Like, no, that's obviously not how it is. Plus the guy was gross, old, and like, no, like my grandfather's age. And like letting him think that like you could pay to have, no, that's, wait, why'd you bring that up?
Well, we're talking about like demand, like putting the demands on a man like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like the staunchness of that is crazy.
No.
Like you can't be like pay for like it's just not the
No.
vibe. But I feel like that was someone also learning her standards, but it was the wrong execution.
Yeah.
Entirely. Like we don't just go around demanding men pay for our bills. That's not the vibe.
That's gross. Also, like, if you're not into a guy, and like, because the thing is, guys, everything comes with strings attached. Nothing is free in this life, as my mother says. Like, every time that a man gifts you something or does something for you, it's because, you know, there's an expectation on the other end. So if I don't genuinely like someone, I'm not letting him pay for shit.
No.
I'm not giving him the illusion that he has access to me because I'm so cheap I can't afford.
Totally, babe.
Like, you know, a bill. Like, that's traumatic. And I'm sure there's some women on the hustle, each to their own, but like, I'm not about that life.
No.
I think it's really important, and we'll do this confidence episode, but it's very important to take the steps to be a confident person and think about the type of man that we want, right? And what are the standards that we actually want? Like, what actually makes us feel loved? Because someone can love you all day and it could be in a way that you don't receive love, so you won't feel loved. So no one knows you off by heart. No one just, you know, they can't read your mind. So doing that classical woman thing of like internalizing it, being upset about it, and like, you know, is not the right way to go about it. You need to learn how to communicate standards. So know what your standards are.
Yeah.
Know what they are.
Yeah.
And know how to communicate them. And just never make a man feel too comfortable. That's like the rule of life, ladies. Like, never make a man feel too comfortable. Like, set your standards. This is how it is.
What advice would you give women who just believe they're typically unlucky with love?
I think with everything, it's so easy to look on the outside with anything in life and to see like, why is this world unfair to me? I'm a victim of my circumstance. I've always had bad men around me. My dad failed me, my whatever. And it's very easy to look at those things, but you have to also think about like, what are you doing that is also not helping your situation? What can you change? What is there about you that maybe is also adding to, you know, to this issue? Like, what are you speaking in a certain way? Are you giving yourself up too easy? Are you like, there is some self accountability here. You know, as we were saying before, 2 women can meet the same guy and get treated very differently from both. And I know it's hard. It's not easy anymore. Men don't court you in the same way. They don't come to your house with flowers. They don't ask your dad permission. They don't do all those things. But just know, ladies, you can get all of those things and more from a man by knowing how to communicate that those are the things that you need. You know, like,
Totally.
That's very important. So you've got to do the inner work. Like, that's number one. You've got to do the inner work. You've got to, because then it also, it stops you from, I guess it helps you from being protected from being in abusive relationships too. You know, it doesn't stop it because those things obviously happen like an octopus, one tentacle at a time. It's not so overt, but you know, it will assist you in seeing things in people, having red flags, having whatever it is. Like, and guys, standards are going to turn some people off, and you have to be okay with that. That's doing yourself a favor.
100%.
If you communicate your standards correctly, guys, I don't know if you've been watching this podcast, you know, I'm a high maintenance girly. Like, I'm not so high maintenance. I will say I make myself seem more high maintenance than I am at the start, just to see how far that the guy can push it. But the same woman could experience dates that I've been on and be like, oh, that was so disappointing. But I look at it and like, wow, he really fumbled that. You know, it's the outlook of that. I'm not like, oh my God, like I'm the one who's choosing, like, I don't want to speak to this person again. And it's the way that you see the situation. Like
That's so true.
If you just allow someone to earn value in your life and stop being so enamored and wowed by a man who's not earned being enamored and wowed. And this is what goes into the self-value thing. Because a woman who's high value and knows she's a valuable person isn't going to be wowed by the minimum.
Totally.
She's just not.
Totally.
And I'm telling you guys, like, once you change your outlook and once you do the inner work and once you know how to communicate your standards, if anyone has any questions on like certain messages you can send or any sort of predicaments, like, let me know. I can help in some kind of way, hopefully. But it's some women, I hear them, some girls, and I'm like, wow, like, you really will put up with that. That's crazy.
I think we need to start seeing like men's poor behavior as a turn off
100%.
Instead of it being a disappointment. Like you said, it's like, why do we get so upset?
He's done you a favor.
Lack of behavior. It's like, ciao, on to the next. There are so many people on this planet. We get hooked by this one person. And most of the time it's very surface level. We've only known them a few weeks and we get like so enthralled by the behavior or lack thereof. And it's just like, ciao.
And just ask yourself, like, with this man, like, would you want your son to be like him? Would you want your daughter to be raised by a man like him? Like, what is making
so
this...
many important decisions that we're like accepting the feminine behavior, but if you want this long-term partnership with them, why would you put up with that?
And they're treating you like this now.
Literally.
What about when you're pregnant? What about when you're older? What about when your parents get older? What about when, you know, life is difficult? Like, you want to be with the right person, so stop crying about some loser that, like, God did you the favor of taking out of your life.
Also, the more you give him excuses and the time of day, he's just like playing around with you like your little puppet, like you're just there on the side. I'm going to talk to you when I want. I'm going to do what I want. It's like you just become last in line and sitting there wondering why he's not delivering you all the things that you want. He doesn't see you as valuable, which is shit. But
so like something about me is I obviously present myself in a hypersexual way. And I know it's very easy for a man to view me sexually. Guys, winning a guy over sexually is the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to do. Any woman, anything with a pulse, the table, this mic could win a man over. Winning him sexually is very easy. So I never, ever allow conversations to turn sexual, to even insinuate things like that. Like nothing, a little bit cheeky. Yeah. A little bit cheeky, but nothing in that regard until a very long time.
100%.
A very, very long time until there is a deep emotional connection with that person. And if a woman is going to cry about, oh, a man just sees me as a body and blah, 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 babe, I don't want to be mean, but have you shown him that you're anything but a body? Do you have any responsibility in that? Or are we going to, you know, like...
Or again, see that as a turn-off if he's like that. If he's genuinely like very hypersexual and you're not, or he's very like touchy-feely or just very sleazy, why is that not like a gross thing? Why is it seen like as, oh, he only sees me this way? It's like, ew.
No, but if a guy after the date was like, you know, come back to mine or whatever, I would just say, like, as attracted as I am to you, it takes me a really long time to like connect with someone in that way. Yeah. So I'm not ready for something like that. Totally. So, but if you'd like to go on another date, like, let me know or whatever. Like letting him know that like you're not some prude. You know, a bit of leg touching goes, you know, when he laughs, like break that seal, touch him a little bit. But yeah, letting him know that that's not something that he, you know, it takes you a while, even
that he earns. Yeah, 100%. Also, I feel like, can we stop giving men excuses for shitty behavior? Like we sit there, he sends a message and it all of a sudden has 50 meanings and we're not actually looking at what it actually means. But like, well, maybe he means this, maybe he means that. It's like, no more deriving meanings.
Well, that goes back to the same thing. Too much time.
Yeah, true.
Too much time, babes. True. Too much time. You need to get more friends. You need to go to the library. You need to join like a charity group. You need to be doing other things. Like you cannot be so mentally encapsulated by a man to that level.
But why don't we look
at
things...
And it's never a guy that they're dating. It's a guy they've known for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, true.
And it's like, how is someone of 2 weeks taking up so much of your mental space? I don't know. I'm very confused by the whole concept.
Yeah. Why do we give things like beyond surface level meaning though? As I feel like lots of women these days, they like try and extract the most from a man's behavior is very obvious. It's very direct. And then we take that and we're like, oh, but maybe it means this, but maybe it means that. You see it all over TikTok. It's like, girl, no, it means what it means.
It's because women are like that. You know, generally women, like, they're more, I guess, subliminal and cryptic with their stuff.
True.
So they assume that men are the same.
But we glide over the fact that it's like a known fact that men don't function like that.
Yeah.
Men will tell you exactly how it is. And if he wants you will know. There will be no like, oh, but maybe it means this. Maybe I should wait because he means this. I should give him a second chance. Like, no.
So Lexi, what are some of your standards?
For me, I'm a comms girl. I need a good morning text. I need to touch base during the day. Yes, he's a busy man. If he's a busy man, and he should be because I like that, then when he can. But making the time to communicate with me as a busy man, I think to me is so valuable. I'm like, you've got a really busy schedule. You're a hustler and you find the time. You carve out just that little space to connect with me and see how I am.
I love it.
Yeah. I guess another standard for me is having like time and space for my family because I'm Greek and my boyfriend's Australian, and I know for a fact that if he had shown any disdain towards my family, or like I know sometimes white people find it weird that you spend so much time with your family, I think if like it was a concept he got used to, but he's never said like, I'm not going to do that, I'm not hanging out with your family. And if he did, that's a standard that I personally couldn't cope with. And one more for me would be effort, like to first few dates, to plan it out, to think about me and what I like and where I want to go, and just put the effort in to show me that you actually care and you actually want to take me somewhere, you actually want to show me something, you actually listen to what I like and want to enthrall me that way. I think it's really important.
I love that. They're really, really good standards. I feel like mine, I can't really pinpoint like a specific standards. It's more about, I would agree, like feeling like a priority to him. That this whole elusive, too cool, nonchalant, blasé. I like someone who doesn't sweat the small stuff in general. So they can be like that generally. They're more nonchalant. They're like, whatever, babe. I love that because I'm like that. But not with love and passion and desire. Love, passion, desire needs to be at full force. If he can see me for 5 minutes that day, he will see me for 5 minutes that day.
Totally.
Even if it's he'll just drive to my house, pick me up from around the corner so dad doesn't see. But like pick me up from the corner of my house, go for a drive with me, you know, because I'm busy, I've got my own life. So he's going to find a way to just even see me for like 10 minutes if he can, or like 5 minutes, or plan this thing or whatever. But on the days that just a real eagerness. And I like that someone who like chases with conviction and like desire and like, I can't breathe without you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high standard. Another standard of mine would be that he is a gentleman. A gentleman in all kinds of ways. A gentleman where he, you know, if there's a last piece on the table, he wants me to eat it before himself. If there's traffic, he's standing on the side of the traffic. He wants to make my life easier. He wants to pick me up. He really cares about me, you know, did you eat today? Like things like that. I love that in a person.
That's cute. That's
hot. And that, and last one, God, I guess you and I are the same in like different fonts, is that he cares about my family more than he cares about me.
Yeah.
So I would say the key to my heart is my family. So like guys I've gone on dates with, when they bring something for my sister, or like, you know, one of my exes, whenever he would send me flowers, he'd always send flowers for my sister or whatever. Like I love that. That's the key to my heart. I'm very, very, very simple in that way. Like you show love and attention to that stuff, like I'm gonna be like, daddy, like let's have a baby.
Icks for modern dating. We're gonna do rapid fire now. Icks for modern dating. There's a feature on Hinge where apparently all of like the super hotties in the area go to a thing called a rose jail, and as a woman you have to hand them a rose to be able to speak to them. Is that not gross?
It's like The Bachelor. That's crazy.
It's like, please take my rose. Like no.
I wonder if they're doing that because women aren't answering and just there for validation.
I don't know, babe, but I just think like for me, starting on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, that's icky. Icks for modern dating, when he sits on the side of the booth and doesn't offer it to you.
Yes.
Because I'll do the whole back and forth. He'll be like, you take it, I'll take it, no, you take it, no, you take it, no, you take it. But if he just sits there and doesn't even bat an eyelid, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Ick.
X modern dating, and you're gonna love this one when he's like, "Oh, you're dressed up. You're
Oh
looking
my
dressy."
God.
It's like, am I?
I feel like I personally not experienced that. I feel like if you're asking me on a date,
Yeah, true.
you know that about me, but I get that in day to day. Like you're like, oh, you're dressed
Especially in
up.
Australia, because we think getting dressed up is like reserved for like weddings and formal things. We leave the house in activewear. So
Yeah.
to put on a nice dress to go somewhere, I remember it's been warm recently. I've got really nice sundresses that I love wearing when it's warm, and I wore them to the market, and everyone was like, is everyone
Were they
was in
looking at you because you're
activewear.
beautiful? Or they're
Yeah,
looking at
like
you?
some, yeah, but you could tell some of the, you get stank face from old women.
Yeah.
I'm like, soz, girl. Sorry, girl.
Hate that. X for morning dating when he acts like really blasé and really nonchalant and really just like it's almost like he doesn't want to be there. Too cool.
Too cool.
Like, didn't you ask me to come?
Literally.
Like, isn't this like very like yeah? I think that's so gross when there's like a lack of admiration, passion. I went on a date last week and the guy was so complimenting, and he was saying. I was telling him how much I loved how he complimented me, and he was like, well, I'm so lucky to be out with you. Of course I'm going to make you feel amazing. Like, and I'm like, that's the way you go about it.
Totally.
You make her feel special, and yeah, that's just...
It's so weird that men don't do that.
I know.
In this country, it's like normal to not like wow your woman up.
I know.
It's very normal to be like, hey.
I think some guys do it as a manipulation technique where they don't want you to feel so amazing because... That'll get like a wounded woman because she'll like fight for his approval, fight for his desire, think there's something wrong with her.
My ratty ex-boyfriend.
And so she'll shift and change, just trying to beg for... Men will bag a beautiful woman and bring her down to their level instead of lifting her up to like keep her there.
Do you reckon that's rat's behaviour?
Yeah, for sure.
X for modern dating, letting a guy do whatever he wants and still being there. Still being like, I'm available for you to take me out whenever. It's like, girl, put that foot down or say swipe left, like whatever it is, just next.
Next. Guys, there's a lot of people on this earth.
Literally.
Like there's a lot of people and life is too short to be spending time with men who don't appreciate you, make you feel bad, don't value you, don't whatever. Now, I do think that you can, as we were saying in this episode, like you can act in certain ways that like push...
Yeah.
Men to value you more. Sometimes you're not doing yourself any favors, but yeah.
Icky.
X for modern dating, like a tit for tat mentality. I scratch my back, you scratch yours. Having some mental invoice of like everything that each other have done and being like, oh my God, this, you get the next round.
Rat was a bit like that.
Really?
Towards the middle. Like towards, like we'd been together for like quite a bit at that point. I remember we went down to the Mornington Peninsula and it was very like that. It's like, I've got the accommodation, therefore, baby, send me a bill.
Yeah, that's
Do you remember
horrible.
that?
Yeah.
You literally invoiced me for a holiday.
Yeah.
Like half of it. I
Be
was like,
specific of who you're talking about. Yeah.
my ratty ex-boyfriend, obviously not my current ex-boyfriend, my little rat of an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah,
You know that
that's
TikTok is like,
crazy.
little telltale rat? Him, not my boyfriend. He literally invoiced me for our fucking holiday, babe. Like we came back and he's like, emailed me an invoice.
But you know, then I'm thinking like, Lexi, why did you pay it?
Because I was abused, babe.
I know.
I literally had no self-worth at that point. I was like a little fucking leaf on the ground.
I hate tit for tat. I hate
Also,
it.
it's this country, right? Because we feel like it's not that common, but we saw this TikTok the other day when she was asking people on the street, we split 50-50. All the ethnics were like, no fucking way. All the Aussies were like, yeah, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, 50-50, fair play. Like, ew.
So crazy.
Ew. All the women that was like the white women that were like, yeah,
Want to pay my way?
should want to be able to pay my way. It's like, maybe you, girl, but don't ruin it for the rest of us. Like,
Yeah, that's such gentleman-like disgusting behavior. And the thing is, that would be setting a standard, right? So I went on a date in Berlin many years ago with a very, very, very cute man. And I can't remember what happened. I know he paid the bill, but something was really cheap about the date. Really cheap. He acted in some kind of way and it really turned me off. And so I never spoke to him again. And then I went back to Berlin a couple of years later and he'd literally like planned the craziest date for me.
Yeah.
And it was his way of like redeeming himself.
He's like, I've improved, which is
He's
cute.
like,
I've got
and he
a
kept
better.
reflecting on that time because he would have gone over and over in his
Yeah,
head.
for years.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, if someone acts in a certain type of way, I'll just alter my behavior towards them. But if I care about them enough, I'll you know, set my standard in a cheeky way. But if I don't, babe, next. When
we talk about that feeling of getting an ick mid-date, it's honestly the worst.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you're like, fuck, I actually feel unwell.
I haven't had that for ages.
Yeah, I haven't either, to be honest. But I remember being younger where there were points where I was like, get me out of here. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know how people do the fake escape thing. Like you, I can't do that. But
no, what I'll do is like worse.
Yeah, you, like
I'll make it the best day of their life. If I'm here already and we're doing it, like, let's make it great. And they'll leave the day and be like, that was amazing. I'm like, I carried that entire... Guys, this is also something you need to remember. Sometimes we romanticize people, but think about, were you the person that made that occasion, that relationship, whatever, amazing? Because a lot of the times you were making the jokes, you were bringing the vibe, you were bringing the humor. Don't underestimate yourself. I know that in some dates and social situations, like, I am the vibe. And then to turn around and be like, oh, that was great. Was it great because of him? Was it great because of me? That's it's true though, because I know.
True, but it's totally.
I know when I'm not
it.
into. I know when I'm not
Totally,
into.
babe.
Guys. If I'm not into a date, I will bring on a show. Like, it's like becoming Broadway at that point. Bringing the jokes, bringing the humor, bringing whatever, and yeah, and then I'll be like, wow, I really did that. I really saved that because we're there anyways. But like, is that bad?
No, babe. I want to know like what excuses people use to get out of them. Because I know people make up these fake things like, oh, mum's called me, I'm out. Like, I've got like an emergency. I'm like, I could never do that.
Really?
I feel so uncomfortable. Like, we are both bad liars.
Yeah.
Like, Raquel cannot lie to save herself. We played this game once where you had to like pretend like who was the robber or not. It was a drinking game in Greece. And she was like, I'm not the robber. And it's, babe, it's so
I'm a horrible liar. Also, I'm very expressive with my face.
Yeah.
So I show everything. Like, I wear my emotions on my face. That also helps setting standards, because someone can clearly see if I'm not about something or if I'm like, wow, you know. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
And bye for now. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.